Hello and welcome to tonight's free session on supplements. My name is Martin Stone from Switch On Health, and tonight is the second of 3 free sessions that we are running this week in conjunction with Natural Medicine Week 2021, which is being hosted by the Australian Traditional Medicine Society. Now, before we start, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that's come along for tonight. We do these things for free, so it really makes a big difference to us when we do get a good turnout. That's what really gives us a buzz, and we really appreciate doing it, so thank you for coming. Now, if you are watching the recorded version on YouTube, please help us by just clicking that button that says like, and also click the button that says subscribe, because the more subscribers we have, the more we can offer, and we look forward to offering you more. Now, last night, we actually did a session on superfoods and how you can turbocharge the nutrients that you get in your food every day simply by including some of these amazing foods in what you eat. But is food enough? Or should we also be taking supplements? On the other hand, are supplements just a waste of money? What about quality issues? Are some better than others? So these are the sorts of things we'll be learning tonight. And to take us all through it is experienced medical herbalist, iridologist, and educator, Deanne Apostolou. Take it away, Deanne.
Hi, thanks, Martin. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's great to be here. I love doing these sorts of educational webinars because I love the idea of being able to help people improve their health, which is why I'm a herbalist and I'm an educator. I've been teaching for quite a number of years now. But tonight I decided that I would look into supplements because it's something that I have a lot of conversations with people about, not just my own patients, but just the idea of like, well, do we need supplements and how good are they and which ones should I try? There's so many questions about it. So yeah, we've titled it, supplements, good, bad, or both. So I'm going to go through a lot of information and tell you where to get your information about supplements from. I mean, that's one of the most important things. So first of all, the look on this guy's face is, yes, it can be mind-boggling trying to work out what you want. And there are certain chemists that even I walk into, and there are rows and rows and rows and aisles of supplements. And I'm always fascinated by them. If I happen to be in there and I'm waiting for a script or something, I would always just spend my time in that aisle looking at the newest things out, because there is so much available. It's hard for me to fathom, and I start picking them up and looking at them. And I mean, I saw a new one the other day that I hadn't ever heard of before, which is oyster shell. So it's ground up oyster shell for male reproductive issues. So it was oyster shells mixed with zinc and vitamin B, I think. And it was like, oh my goodness, look at this. So it did make me actually then come home and go, well, does oyster shell have any nutrients in them? So they actually do, surprisingly. They don't have as much zinc, just out of curiosity. Oyster shells don't have as much zinc as oyster meat does, but it has like 200 times the amount of magnesium that the meat does. So there's a piece of trivia for you. But yeah, it can get really, really hard to work out what on earth do I need, but also from a professional point of view, what supplements do you recommend to your patients? There are certain supplements of the general brands, I'm not going to mention any brands tonight, that are available in the chemists that are okay. But then there are also brands that are called POPs, or practitioner-only products, or certain products, I will say, practitioner-only products that I will say, look, if you're looking for this particular thing, let's say turmeric or curcumin in a supplement, then you're better off going with a practitioner-only brand. mind, rather than that whole array of supplements. But of course, in saying that, there is such a huge choice of curcumin and turmeric available that you just go, oh my goodness, you know, where do I start? And what do I look for? So I'm hoping to help you go through all of that tonight and to be able to work out where you should go and what you need to look out for. So yeah, there's just a huge amount of them available. And no, they're not all equal, but I will go through that in just a moment. I just also want to clarify, before I go through to those industry stats, I will just clarify what I mean by a supplement, and that's anything that is a vitamin or mineral. There are herbs, there are probiotics, anything that is in a capsule or crushed up and put into a powder that you're going to ingest that's going to enhance your health. Right, so there's so many different things available for, you can have an energy boost if you've got a vitamin or mineral deficiency, if you've got like a particular health condition like osteoarthritis, like eczema, migraines. There's so many available for all these different things. So industry stats first. From a 2018 study by CMA, or Complementary Medicines Australia, over 60% of Australians use some form of complementary medicine. So that is actually quite a huge amount of people. The category of vitamins and mineral supplements has doubled from 2008 to 2018 when the last study was done. So that's just huge. And I would imagine that now, 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, that it's exponentially increased again. Australians are spending more on complementary medicine than they are, or on vitamins and minerals, than they are on prescriptions, which is a good thing. It's a really good thing. The downside of that is that 41% of these vitamins and minerals supplements that people are buying are purchased from a pharmacy, right? So that only leaves like a really small percentage that are actually purchased from a health food shop or from an actual natural healthcare practitioner. It also means that 41% of people are actually self-prescribing. So this is what gets me, and what I think is a real caution that we need to be really careful of, is that we are self-prescribing when we don't really know, as a general layperson, when we don't really know exactly what we're doing and what we need. So yeah, just going through that again, sort of what is vitamins and minerals. I've just sort of mentioned a few things there already, so we'll just go on to the next one. So do we really need to take supplements? Well, not if we can live here and eat this. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that just sounds like the absolute ideal utopia, doesn't it? In an ideal world, all our nutritional needs would be met by the highly nutritious foods that we eat. They'd be grown in nutrient-dense soil. Our bodies would be working at their absolute optimum level, absorbing all of these nutrients in perfect harmony with a body that's not under prolonged stress, as nature intended. How good does that sound? So we've got highly nutritious food, we've got amazing soil, so our food has actually got all these really good minerals in the food, because the soil that they're grown in is fabulous, and we're not under stress. I mean, our body is always going to be under a certain amount of stress, but the idea is that is not good for us in this 21st century, is the prolonged stress. So in this ideal utopian world, we would be eating 2 pieces of fruit a day, 5 serves of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, a handful of nuts and seeds, quality lean protein, 2 litres of water, consuming that every day, no alcohol, no refined sugars, no fried foods. You'd also be getting a fabulous, restful 8 hours of sleep, and you'd wake up feeling refreshed and absolutely wonderful, ready to take on the world. It just sounds awesome, doesn't it? Unfortunately, as I would say 99% of the population know, that's not always the case. So what we need to do is we have to supplement some things not everything should be supplemented, and not all the time. So just adding to that, it's not that, okay, someone says you need some iron in your diet. That doesn't mean that you take an iron supplement every day for the rest of your life, because at some point you shouldn't. It's not that you might feel that you won't need it, but you shouldn't need that constantly, because at some point your body should be able to catch up. And if it doesn't, then you've got to look at what's going on and why you can't catch up. Same thing with magnesium. I mean, magnesium is wonderful, and I take it most nights, but I don't have to take it. I don't have to take it every single night. But magnesium is a fantastic supplement to take, but it's not like you have to take it all the time for the rest of your life. So our body is constantly changing, our needs are changing, our lives are changing. So it's a matter of dealing with where we are at the time. It's personalizing our supplements the way that we should be personalizing, the rest of our herbal medicine and our foods as well. Whatever you're having, it should be personalized to you, because every person is different and every person reacts differently. And we're going to take different things out of different supplements that we are actually taking. Our body will take what we need. So the next thing to look at is, are all supplements created equal? No, absolutely not. They are not created equal. You need to compare apples with apples, but it's actually really hard to compare apples with apples. And it's like comparing oranges and mandarins. It might sound a bit odd for you, but it is like comparing oranges and mandarins, because they're similar. Okay, they're both citrus fruits, but they're a different size, they're a different taste, and they have different properties. So the idea is that you can't necessarily just compare one bottle of vitamin C tablet to the bottle that's next to it, a different brand on the same shelf, because you might have, as an example, it's a good idea to do this exercise next time you're at a chemist or even the supermarket, because unfortunately, as we know, that they sell vitamins and minerals at supermarkets too. You'll have a bottle of vitamin C that might have 250 milligrams of active ingredient, and it could be sitting next to another bottle that's got 1,000 milligrams of active ingredient. And if all you're doing is looking at the price at the bottom, you might find that the price tag for the 250 milligrams, let's say as an example, is $15, and the 1,000 milligram price is maybe $25, and you'll go, oh my goodness, I'm not paying $10 extra for the same thing. I'll take the 250 milligram one. But then, of course, you've got to look into the fact that you're going to have to take 4 tablets of the 250 milligrams a day to actually compare it with the 1,000 milligram tablet. So that's why I say you've got to try to compare apples with apples and work it out accordingly. It's not an easy thing to do as a professional. If anyone listening is going in to be a health professional, I recommend that you do get a handle on all the supplements, because again, not only with walking into the chemist, but when you get into the world of practitioner-only supplements, well, that can get just as mind-boggling, because so many different companies have got so many different forms of magnesium, and they've got so many different forms of, let's say, go back to the curcumin again, and they've got so many different forms of ginkgo biloba. So it's a matter of trying to determine your best value for money. That's what I always bring it down to. And then try to bring it right down even to the fact of how much per capsule and per day do you need. So that's bringing it right down, drilling right down into value for money. So again, I'm just going to go back to the vitamin C as an example. Along this, the shelf where you've got vitamin C 250 milligrams and vitamin C 1,000 milligrams, you're probably also going to have vitamin C plus echinacea, vitamin C plus zinc, slow release vitamin C. Well, look, there's vitamin C gummy bears as well. That might be a tasty way to have it. There's vitamin C powder. There's vitamin C chewable tablets. you've got to really look into the labels. You've got to do your own research. And the thing, you can actually do a lot of this online, so you don't have to do it standing in the chemist for hours on end. You can do it at home and create your own table if you want to go down to that point and go, all right, for this vitamin C, and this one's got echinacea, so how many of these do I need, and how long are they going to last, and how much of the active ingredient is there? So it's really important to read the labels for more than this reason of the active ingredient, which we'll go through later as well. You've really got to look at the amount of the active ingredient is in there, because as I've said before with the first example, 250 milligrams versus 1,000 milligrams, you're going to have to take 4 times as much. So the other thing that I just wanted to mention, because I hadn't heard of this product, I had a patient ask me about apple cider vinegar gummies. And I hadn't heard of them, and we looked them up, and she showed me, and she said, oh, these are the ones that I bought. She said, I've heard that apple cider vinegar is really good for weight loss, and so I bought these gummies. And there's a whole lot of myths that need to be blown out of the water with this one, because yes, first of all, apple cider vinegar is a fabulous product. It can help with weight loss, because what it's doing is it stimulates the bile production, it stimulates the digestive enzymes, it helps to kickstart your metabolism in the morning and before meals. But it all depends on what form and how you're actually going to ingest that. So apple cider vinegar, generally you'll say it's 1 teaspoon about 15 minutes before meals. And then you're drinking it with water, you're diluting it with water, because otherwise it can be way too acidic for the esophagus as well as for the stomach. And you're rinsing your mouth out really well after you've taken it, and then you're going to sit down and have a meal. So then it's going to help you digest the food, particularly heavy proteins like steak. If you're having a piece of steak, it's going to help you digest the steak, or anything that then leaves somebody with that quite a bloated feeling after they've eaten. So when we looked further into these gummy bears, it said apple cider vinegar 13%. So which means obviously that you're just not going to get that effect. They will be broken down in the stomach, because that's sort of generally where that like that gummy will be broken down and absorbed in the stomach. And again, I'll go through this a little bit later. But you've also then got a whole stack of sugar, a whole stack of food colorings, and all these numbers on the label as well. So therefore then what you're doing is you're counteracting that really 13% amount of goodness that you're going to get from apple cider vinegar. So just be cautious and make sure that you are reading your labels. And I generally like to say you get what you pay for, mostly. Okay, that's not always, because I have also seen where some supplements, in particular probiotics, are outrageously priced. Personal opinion, of course, but I know that I've seen a particular brand that is, I think it's around about $15 per dose. So they're selling something that is like $250 or more, $300 for a box of probiotics. And I've looked at them and thought, why are they so good that they are worth this much? And yes, there's a huge amount of probiotics in them, but the thing is that you don't actually really need that amount of probiotics to be taken every day, unless you've got an absolute major issue. And even then, I wouldn't be saying that you really need this huge amount. There were just billions and billions, and actually more than that. It was a lot more than billions, because billions is a good amount of probiotics to have. But anyway, so I think, again, it's not just cost effective. It is cost effectiveness, but just because it's more expensive doesn't mean that it's got to be better, especially when you're dealing with this particular product that I've seen. Personally, I take a probiotic that costs around about $25 for 30 capsules. I actually don't take it every day. I probably only take it twice a week. So it's the idea that you don't necessarily have to take them all the time. Okay, so next let's look into magnesium. Now this is another one that I mentioned. There's a huge amount of magnesium available on the shelves. And there's a huge amount of magnesium products available for practitioners only, which can get a bit confusing. So you've got to do your breakdown and look at what form. So what I've put up here is a chart that's got quite a few different forms. And this is a very, very basic thing. You can obviously delve much further into it. And in the college we do, but this is just very basics, and it gives you a basic idea of what magnesium is for. So magnesium oxide is a laxative. Now, I've heard some people go, oh, I can't take magnesium because it gives me diarrhea. Well, that exactly is like, well, you're taking the wrong form of magnesium. So why did you decide you wanted to take magnesium? For what reason? And let's have a look at what form of magnesium that will achieve your health issues and the reason why you want to take magnesium. So with something like magnesium, it's a lot harder to work out than vitamin C. And I highly recommend that you talk to a natural healthcare practitioner. It's so important that you get solid professional advice. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. And I do keep saying it in my lessons over and over again, because it's incredibly important. There is so much white noise out there about supplements. And you see all these blogs written by people that when you look right into it, they actually don't have a proper qualification. And so it's really important to be mindful of what you're reading, who's writing it, why they're writing it. Is it linked to somebody that's selling the product? Do they get kickbacks from the product? Or are they an actual healthcare practitioner or a healthcare professional? Because what we will do is we will work through your health concerns, recommend which form of magnesium or any product in particular that is going to suit you best, and then we're going to be able to monitor you and see how you're going and see if it's actually working or doing anything for you. So the other thing to remember with magnesium, you can see here there's quite a few foods that are rich in magnesium. Our body does not make magnesium. We don't make things like zinc or iron either. Our body just needs to get that from the food that we're eating. But with magnesium in particular, it's needed for around about 400 different functions in our body. And when we're under stress, we burn through magnesium really quickly. So it's really important to make sure that when we're under stress, we are taking a good amount so we don't end up low in magnesium. Okay, the next thing to be really cautious of and careful of is what we call excipients and fillers. Now, these can be binders, they can be solvents, they can be called, you know, all sorts of other things. But what they are is they are inactive ingredients that are mixed in with the tablets or the capsules, and they will either help to just act as a filler, so it makes the tablet bigger, because otherwise the tablet might be quite small. So sometimes it'll just make the tablet bigger, but sometimes it will also actually help that particular active ingredient get to where you want it to go. Most products will all have some sort of excipient or a filler in it, and the good companies will tell you what is in them. The cheaper companies will actually not necessarily tell you what's in them, or they won't be upfront with what's going on. And they'll put all sorts of other things in here, as you can see on the slide, something like titanium dioxide. Now, that's not particularly healthy product to be ingesting all the time, because what that is that's actually a bit of a chalky residue. They actually have titanium dioxide that's in tattoos as well, so or in tattoo ink, I should say. So yeah, you've got to sort of really have a look at it. And these companies go on the ignorance of the public to not know what's going on. So they'll also, anything with numbers, sort of as you can see with this label here, there's a few numbers and a few names that we don't really know, and just people gloss over it. They'll read it and they'll gloss over it and oh, well, yeah, you know, I don't know, I guess it's all right. But the less numbers and the less ingredients in any product, whether it's a supplement or whether it's food, it's the same. So you don't want, the more natural, the better, the less processed, the better. You can Google a list of food additives, and just as an aside, a bit of trivia for you, there are 129 different names for MSG. So 129, and you can Google it, there's a list. You can actually Google list of names for MSG and you'll see them all come up, and you can print that off if you want to, or keep it on your phone. So you can actually see that these companies, because when probably maybe about 20 years, maybe longer now ago, people started becoming aware of MSG and realizing that they were putting it into more and more foods. So they started changing the names into yeast extracts and all sorts of different things, or they'll say no added MSG, but that doesn't mean that there's not MSG in it in the first place, or there might be something that's like a precursor to MSG, that when it's mixed with some of their additives, that it will then give you like an MSG reaction if you react to it. So, they're just sneaky. The other thing is that sugar is something else that they sort of throw into lots of tablets, lots of supplements, and lots of foods as well. So there's 56 different names for sugar, like dextrose, lactose, sucrose, fructose, all that sort of stuff. They're not all bad. It's the amount that counts, which I'm sure that Sally went through with you yesterday. But just being aware that the least amount of ingredients in whatever you're taking, whether it's a food or whether it's a supplement, the better that it's going to be for you. So the next thing that we need to look at is your absorption, because you could be taking the best supplements. You could be living in utopia and having this best diet that we just spoke about, and still feel really bad. You'll still feel like you're not sleeping well. You'll still feel tired. You might need a nap in the afternoon. You haven't got any energy to go for a run on that beautiful beach of the picture that I brought up, or swim around the island or whatever it is. And that could be because your body's not absorbing all of the nutrients that you're putting in. And this is a phenomenon that I see a lot in my clinic, is that I'll say to people, give me a rundown of what you're eating. And it looks fabulous on paper, but then they go, but I still wake up really tired. I'm not waking up refreshed. And that's obviously got to be with an absorption issue. So that's not just food, it's supplements as well. Your body, once you start absorbing food, or once you start, eating food, it goes, first of all, with food itself, you're starting off with the aroma. So the nose starts to smell this beautiful food cooking. Your saliva starts to be produced. You start chewing, you're producing more saliva. The digestive enzymes in the stomach in here start to be produced. They're going to break down the food. It's going to get in comes the gallbladder with some bile, in comes the pancreas with some insulin, and then it gets all mushed up into the small intestine, and that's where most of your food absorption happens. And then your wastes go out into the colon. Some of the nutrients will go up into the liver, go into the bloodstream, go out through the kidney, That's a whole lesson unto itself. But if you're not getting the absorption, if you're not getting the breakdown, and as I mentioned here, it's best to take your supplements with food, because then what's going to happen is that you're going to get the enzymes, the digestive enzymes are going to break down the tablet together with the food, and then hopefully all the nutrients get mushed up together and go to where you want them to go. Excuse me. Capsules are generally broken down in the small intestine. They take a bit longer, and some, when you see enteric coated, that means that there's a coating on the outside that the digestive enzymes aren't going to break it down, and it's going to break down in the small intestine, because some things will be destroyed by the acids in the stomach. So that's why they're enteric coated. Or there are some medications that are enteric coated, and that's to protect the esophagus. So yes, as I mentioned, if your gut isn't working, you're not going to absorb much of anything. What I found really fascinating one day was I had to go and have a lower back x-ray. And this was quite a few years ago, but I was taking some capsule supplements at that stage, and they were a particular capsule. And I got the x-rays, I had to wait, and I got the x-rays back, and of course, I looked at them before I went back to the doctors. And I could see these really funny little, you know, they were only about that big and they were an oval shape and they were in my large intestine. And I'd just gone to the doctor, what on earth is that? And he said, well, did you take any capsules that morning? Because that would be the capsules going through and they probably weren't broken down. And I was like, oh my goodness, wow. So I stopped taking that particular brand of capsule, because that's what the other thing is that the cheaper brands may not be made of really good stuff that your body can actually break down. So gelatin is a really good thing to have capsules made out of, but if it's plastic, obviously we don't want to be absorbing plastic and our body won't break it down. We're just going to pass it. So that was a complete waste of money, and I changed my product after I saw that. It was just fascinating. Okay, so I love this graphic. You can't out-supplement a bad diet, but you can supplement a good diet if you want to bring your body back into homeostasis or into allostasis or into balance, right? Homeostasis means balance. So if you're eating well, but you've still got some deficiencies, by taking some supplements, whether it's magnesium or zinc or iron or whatever it is, you can actually help yourself to feel better. But if you're eating a diet full of fats, sugars, not enough fiber, not enough water, you're drinking a lot of soft drink instead of water, you can't out-supplement that sort of diet. A good friend of mine by the name of Martin Stone, which I think this is a wonderful quote, has said, well, supplements can bring you closer to optimum health. They are a supplement, not a replacement. So you can supplement a good diet, but you can't replace a good diet with tablets. So I thought that was very well said, Martin. Thank you. Further going along the lines of this is looking at where you can get some products that actually have a lot of crushed up fruits and vegetables, and they're all put into tablets and capsules. And then you go, well, is this better than actually taking synthetically manufactured vitamins and minerals? I would say yes at first glance, but again, read your labels. However, eat the actual fruit and vegetable if you can, because the more natural, the better. And you're getting so much more out of your actual food by ingesting it, because again, like I said, you're sort of starting with the smell of it. Then you've got your digestive enzymes, your saliva starting to produce, and then you're going to break it down and you're going to enjoy that function of eating. So if you can manage to eat the fruit and vegetables, so 2 fruits, 2 serves of fruit, 5 serves of vegetables a day, then that's the best way to have it. If you're trying to do that and you might get 1 piece of fruit in and 3 serves of vegetables, then you can supplement for a little amount of time. But again, that shouldn't be something that you're always going to take that always and forever. Okay, so you need to be looking at the reasons why you can't be eating optimally. Like, it's the 80-20 rule. Eat really well 80% of the time. Don't expect that you're going to eat well 100% of the time. And at 20% of the time, you can have little, digressions. But what the other thing that actually eating the food rather than the supplements is that your body will, especially greens, will formulate butyrate in your gut, and then your bacteria feed on that, and then that's a whole other thing with food as well. So you're not going to get that reaction of butyrate happening and then your good bacteria feeding on that to produce more good bacteria if you're just taking a supplement, even if it does have the crushed up fruits and vegetables in it. It is a good alternative, like I said, if you want to supplement your diet, but it's not a replacement for a good diet. So fatigue, I've mentioned that before. It's an issue that supplements can help you with. You want it to only happen temporarily, to be taking it temporarily. Are you getting enough iron in your diet? Do you need to supplement a little bit more, as well as perhaps eating some red meat or going for vegan and vegetarian sources of iron and B12? that's absolutely fine, but you might need a bit of a boost every now and then. And, you know, again, that's okay, but you still need to make sure that you're going to have some sort of iron coming into your diet. And someone that can help you with all of that is a natural healthcare practitioner. Have I mentioned that enough? Because they will go through your diet with you and they will help you to work out where you can get your nutrients from. Okay, there's a lot of issues with safety that we need to look at. You've got to ask yourself all these questions. What's in the capsules? How much of the active ingredient is in there? What are the capsules made of that I've discussed? Will they interact if I'm on any medications? Now, this is a really, really important question, because if you're on any sort of medication, and this can be anti-anxiety medications, antidepressants, it could be the contraceptive pill, it could be blood pressure medications. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe, and that doesn't mean that it's not going to have some sort of an interaction. So you do need to be careful. And where are you going to find out that information? From a natural healthcare practitioner. Do I sound like a broken record yet? The other thing that you need to be cautious of with supplements is that you'll often have a lot of herbs put into the supplements. So this form can make it really easy to take some of your herbs rather than in liquid form, which will probably be dispensed by a herbalist. But you've just got to make sure that you're looking at the active ingredients, and you want to make sure how much you're getting. Your dosage is really important, as well as whether you're going to have some sort of an interaction with other medications that you're on. So let's take it as an example. If you feel like you've got brain fog, what you might need is a zinc supplementation, because, you know, no zinc, no think. So zinc is actually really good for brain fog. It can help in so many other areas as well, but it's a mineral supplement that I actually have some issues with, because lately I've noticed so many, excuse me, and what you find is that there'll be 5 milligrams of zinc in your vitamin C, say, and then there'll be 5 milligrams of zinc in your multivitamin. And then you might take a magnesium supplement that's also got 5 milligrams of zinc. So you need to be cautious of how much zinc you're actually getting. Generally, they say that we can have about 50 milligrams of zinc a day, but that's still a fairly high amount. And you don't want to do that on a consistent basis, because too much zinc is going to put your copper and your magnesium out. And then you're going to start having all sorts of other problems. If you've got too much zinc and not enough copper, you can start having numbness and tingling in your arms and legs. So that's going to, you know, create a whole lot of other problems. Just remember where you're going to get your information from about what you should be doing. So some other safety concerns that I have, I can't go through this and not talk about weight loss supplements because there's a huge amount of weight loss supplements available. What they do generally is they suppress your appetite. They increase your metabolism with caffeine, which is obviously not the ideal way of doing it, because you might also find that you're having 2 cups of coffee a day, and then you're having 2 or 3 lots of weight loss supplements a day. And in which case, then there's generally around about 200 milligrams of caffeine in a weight loss supplement, which is the equivalent to a strong cup of coffee. And if you're going to have that at night time before you're going to bed, it's going to affect your sleep, which is then going to make you feel bad, and you get this spiraling, downward spiral effect, and give you brain fog, and then you're going to need zinc, and you might overdo the zinc, and off we go. But yeah, it's stimulating everything. You can get anxiety, you can get palpitations, it can increase your blood pressure. The caffeine can cause diarrhea, as well as other products within the weight loss supplements will cause you diarrhea. It's not sustainable, right? If you're taking something like this, and I think they recommend sometimes like 2 tablets 3 times a day, and you need to take it for 2 weeks, and then you have a week off, and then you start again, it's not sustainable, because as soon as you start eating properly, you're going to start to put on weight. And what happens when you've got diarrhea is all your electrolytes are going to go out of balance, okay? And you'll highly likely have a really bad headache, and you'll feel really bad. You'll feel more lethargic than you were to begin with, Okay, so just be cautious. And I don't recommend anybody to take any of those weight loss supplements. The other thing that you need to be cautious of is if people are buying supplements online. In Australia, we have the Australian Therapeutic Goods Administration, which is the TGA. They are very strict. They regulate marketing. They regulate how you can advertise. They regulate distribution. They regulate manufacturing of medications, but vitamins and mineral supplements and anything that you ingest for a medicinal benefit. So they can be very strict. They're very tough. They can be difficult to work with sometimes from a natural health profession, but they keep the consumer safe. And you can also, that's where you report adverse events for any medications, whether it's pharmaceutical or natural supplements. So anything that comes in that you're buying online that is not actually available for sale in Australia hasn't been through the TGA stringent regulations. So I always try to tell people if it's from, outside of Australia, it's best not to get it. So are supplements good, bad, or bad for you? So here I've got, this little scenario. I'm always so tired. I've never got enough energy. I might go and get some vitamins to boost my energy. Get to the chemist, the pharmacy, the supermarket. Oh my goodness, what on earth do I choose? You spend a considerable amount of time reading the marketing hype on the label because, those words aren't put there accidentally. They're put there to make you buy their product. Then you self-prescribe a product. You try it for a week or two. There's no change, but then you haven't implemented any diet or lifestyle changes either. And then you conclude it doesn't work. I tried vitamins and minerals. I tried an iron supplement. I tried a vegetable supplement. I tried a vitamin and mineral supplement. It doesn't work. I'm still really tired. Okay, but there's obviously a reason why you're still really tired. So the best scenario, I'm always so tired. Gosh, I might go and consult a herbalist, a naturopath, someone that works in a health food store. Golly gosh, wouldn't that be a good idea? You can discuss your health concerns with this natural health practitioner. You can make a few small diet and lifestyle changes. So you might try to go to bed early. You might try to drink more water. You might try to eat one more piece of fruit a day. And you just implement those 3 little things over the next couple of weeks. You try a recommended product. So you've spoken to them about your health concerns. They've given you 1 or 2 products to take. And at the end of that, you conclude, I feel so much better. So yes, in summary, supplements can be amazing. They can be so good for you, but they're not going to replace your bad diet. They're not going to replace your high sugars, your fried foods, your high fats. They're not going to replace your lack of water or your lack of exercise or your lack of sleep. And you need to be very careful about the quality that you're going to be ingesting. You want good quality, you want value for money, so you're not wasting your money, because a lot of medical practitioners will actually, I won't generalize too much because I know there are a lot of medical practitioners that will say, yes, go and take a vitamin B. Yes, go and take a vitamin C. I know as an example, my son crushed his finger and he had to have surgery. And when we were in the post-surgery appointment, the specialist said to him, take some vitamin B, go and get a good quality vitamin B and a good quality vitamin C. It'll help your healing, and the vitamin B will help your nerves heal. And I was like, oh, wow, I really like this guy. He was a younger specialist. He would have been probably in his early 40s, as opposed to maybe perhaps some of the older, whether they're specialists or people that just have their mind closed to natural health therapies. And they go, no, you're just getting, if you're taking supplements, you're just getting expensive urine. That's not the case. It can be the case if you've got a bad quality supplement, if your gut's not absorbing things. So all in all, supplements can be really good for you and very beneficial for you. So there's my details. We got learning more with Switch on Health. And Martin, if you want to come back in.
Excellent. Thank you, Deanne. Thank you so much. That was a superb presentation. And look, I think you nailed it really. And, you know, I guess the take-home message for anybody watching this who wants to know about supplements, the take-home message really is, hey, look, you know, don't just try and work it out by yourself. Go and see a herbalist or a nutritionist or a naturopath, because we live this stuff. You know, we love supplements, we study it, we live and breathe it 24 hours a day, not just supplements, but all the other stuff as well. So yeah, it's definitely well worth getting that professional advice and not trying to figure it out for yourself. And of course, if you're watching this and you're studying, you're going to learn to love all this stuff as well. So we are going to open it up for questions and answers in a moment, if anybody would like to have a chat. If you are watching this on YouTube, we will leave you here, but please do feel free to type your questions in down below, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Learn more with Switch on Health.